Hello and welcome to Survivor Pool AI, Artificial Intelligence, where we have used three artificial intelligence models, ChatGPT, Gemini, and Grok, to create three artificial intelligence agents. And these agents each week will select a team to enter into an NFL Survivor Pool. My name is Kip Skavinsky, and I'm assisted in this with Eric Tedisco, who's helping me with some aspects of technical aspects with YouTube and social media. First of all, please hit the like and subscribe button, as that will help us out a lot as we are in the beginning of this effort. And again, that'll help with help with the algorithm. First of all, backtrack a little bit. It may benefit you to go and listen to or watch episode 1, where we have sort of laid out the foundation of what we're trying to do with the models and the background here. We're just finished week 3. And our models are going to pick, or our agents are going to pick their selections for week 4 of the Survivor Pool. The effort here is to see how these agents can compete with each other, who does the best, but more so to allow the viewer to have the benefit of the sort of deep dive into all of the information available, which the models can, bring up, scan, look at, and save the casual player or maybe even the experienced player of these pools to save them a lot of time in doing research. And I'll mention that a little more, but Grok, for example, said some of the things they're looking at, which all the models are looking at, are odds, ESPN, FanDuel, DraftKings, Power Rankings, ESPN, Sharp Football, injury reports, NFL.com, ESPN, etc. So a lot of information that they're evaluating when they're making their picks. So let's get started. And in week 3, how'd we do? Well, we did pretty well. And we had a little hiccup, but I'll mention that. GPT, she picked the bills for both pools. We're in 2 pools. We're in a large pool that 90,000 participants started in this pool, and it's sifted down significantly by now. And we're in a smaller pool it started out at, I think, 135, and right now there's about 131 that survived. And so we had a couple questions to the models about their selections as these pools start to dwindle down. But ChatGPT picked the bills last week for both pools, but unfortunately I wasn't able to enter the picks on time for the large pool because when I went in at first, it wasn't open yet, and then I kind of forgot about it. I hadn't done it, or I hadn't done it by Thursday night, and then it was too late. So we went with the Chiefs in that pool finally, and they both won. Gemini picked Tampa Bay and won, and then Buffalo in the small and Tampa Bay. Sorry, and they picked Green Bay in the large pool, and Green Bay, of course, lost. The interesting thing about the Green Bay pick was that when ChatGPT was going through its reasoning about why they didn't pick Green Bay, was they said that Cleveland's home underdog resilience makes that a slight riskier pick. And so it turned out to be true, as of course Cleveland won that in an upset. Grok picked the Bills for both teams, but again, I was too late to enter that. So I went with the Seahawks for Grok for both pools, and they won. So after week 3, the only elimination was Gemini in the larger pool for picking Green Bay. So this week, ChatGPT is selecting Buffalo in the smaller 135 participant pool and the Chargers in the larger pool. And they're saying that as far as the Bills over the Saints, a massive favorite, and that'll allow them to stay in that small pool, even though it's a double elimination pool. And they're picking the Chargers over the Giants in the larger pool. Giants are still winless. Chargers have a strong 3-0 start, and they're a less obvious choice, but it also gives you some differentiation, and it is probably a fairly safe selection. Gemini picking Bills for the smaller pool, and of course in the larger pool, they are out. And again, the case for the Bills, they're the most dominant favorite on the board with at the time at least, a massive point spread of around 16.5 at home against the winless Saints, and the Saints are struggling mightily. It says this is almost a no-brainer pick in terms of win probability. And the only hesitation would be to save the Bills for a later week, but with the added loss allowance of 2 in this smaller pool, picking the safest team to advance is the most logical move. And Gemini, the twins, Gemini, are saying we don't need to get cute with this one. Then Grok, they're selecting Chargers in the smaller pool and the Bills in the larger pool. And they're saying that the Chargers for week 4, Bills in the larger pool. And I asked all 3 participants whether, as the pools start to whittle down to lesser and less participants, is that something that is of interest to them in making their week-to-week selections? And all 3 of them said yes. So prior to next week, assuming we're still in this, I will inform the agents of the number of participants left in the pools, and that'll possibly help them to make their selections. I think that covers that. Now, one other thing which might be of interest here is that I'm looking at the results of all these pools. In the large pool, where it started, I think, with something like 83,000 participants or entrants. In week 2, about 14,000 were eliminated. Week 3, another, 16,000 were eliminated. And, I'm sorry, week 1, it started with 98,000. And about 15,000 were eliminated. That was about 15%. Then I guess another 16,000 and went down, or 14,000 in week 2 and 16,000 in week 3. So after 3 weeks, make a long story short, about 47% of the participants were eliminated in that large pool. And one of the big eliminating factors this last week was that about 10,000 picked the Packers and about 4,500 picked the Falcons for some reason, and they, of course, were out. The smaller pool after 3 weeks, it's a double elimination, so only 4 are out, and 36 have 1 loss, and 94 have no losses. So roughly 70% had no losses in the smaller pool, which is a much higher percentage than the 47% eliminated in the large pool. The large pool has 53% with no losses. So what might be going on here? Well, it looks like the participants in the larger pool are recognizing that they're not sticking with, let's call it the herd mentality of picking the favorites, as they want to start to differentiate themselves a little bit and leave the more stronger teams for later on in the pool, when their selection choices might be a lot less. In the smaller pool with the 2 elimination, it looks like the participants are going with the stronger teams up front in general, and figuring that with they can take the risks later on with a opportunity for 2 losses, because that they at least want to still be in the pool and give themselves that chance. So that's it. In summary, Buffalo in the small pool and the ChatGPT, Buffalo in the smaller pool, Chargers in the larger one, Bills in the small, Gemini Bills in the smaller pool, and they're out in the larger pool. And Gronk, Chargers, selecting Chargers in the smaller pool, and Bills in the larger pool. So hopefully they'll be success again, and we'll see how far this goes. Please hit the like and subscribe button again, and we'll see if we can continue at least with one of these models on hopefully into the later weeks 7, 8, 9, 10, and see how we can continue to do this. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll talk to you next week. We'll hope to post that the next video on Wednesday in order for you to make the Thursday pick if you're going to choose the Thursday night. I think there might be 2 games next week. All right, bye-bye.